Welcome back to Golf Today. What a career Mark OMeara has put together. A 16-time winner on the PGA Tour, with 5 of those wins coming at the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. His connection to the Monterey Peninsula is soulful. Won a California State Am there back in 1979 as well.
So in 1998, at the age of 41, he won the Masters for his first ever career major. And who could ever forget that 20-footer he made breaking right to left across the 18th green. That was his 15th attempt at the Masters, but forever banished that title of the best, never to win a major.
And then he got greedy, Eamon. 3 months later, he won his second major of the year, the Open at Royal Birkdale, beating 54-hole leader Brian Watts at a playoff, and the win would prove to be OMeara's last on the PGA Tour, but he showed he was truly a world player. Take a look at the bio. The World Golf Hall of Fame member. You see that Masters and Open. You see the 16 wins, 3 PGA Tour Champions wins as well. Won the U.S. Amateur in 1979 and inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2015. And it is great to welcome in Mark OMeara now ahead of his final start at this week's Pure Insurance Championship. I imagine this is a very difficult decision, Mark. Thanks for joining us. How did you know that this week was the time to say goodbye?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Damon and Eamon. You know, it's something I've been kind of planning over the last 2 or 3 years. Obviously, my career has slowed down. I think I played 3 events 2.5 years ago, 7 events last year, and only 5 this year. And I'm 67, almost ready to turn 68 in January, and I just felt like enough's enough. And I've been so blessed to play an incredible game for such a long time and meet so many great people. And I couldn't have picked a better place than to wind it down at Pebble Beach, which is obviously said the Pure Insurance next week. We play with a junior from the first tee, and it'll be a great walk. It'll be a kind of a sad walk, but it's one that I've been planning on, and I'm happy to do it.
Will you miss it, Mark? Not just the camaraderie among the guys out there, but the competition, because it's been such an enormous part of your life for the last half century.
You know, I will a little bit, Eamon, but to be fair, you know, I don't work at it as hard. I don't practice as hard. I'm not as motivated. And I have a lot of other things in my life that I love to do, you know, whether it's fly fishing or snowmobiling, or I have a lot of hobbies. So I think I can change the path that I'm on. But I also want to reminisce the great moments and great times that I've had in this great game.
You know, Mark, I have a connection to the Van Nuys par 3. Your connection to Pebble Beach is pretty darn special. You weren't there with Douglas Grant and Jack Neville in 1919, but you were there in the 1970s. What do you remember about laying eyes on Pebble Beach for the first time?
Yeah, Damon, I think the first time I came up was in '78 to play in the Cal State Amateur. And look, I was truly amazed. I'd watched it on TV. A lot of us that play the game, or not even as a professional, but wish that we'd have an opportunity to go play Pebble Beach. And when I remember driving in the 17-mile drive in '78, I was just amazed at the beauty. I mean, the place is incredible. Forget about the fact that it's one of the great golf courses in the world, but the whole Monterey Peninsula is just a magical place. And then to win the '79 California State Amateur, I look at the past champions that have won the California State Amateur at Pebble Beach. There's a lot of great names on that trophy. And so I think that helped propel and give me a little confidence into playing well later that year and winning the U.S. Amateur. And then thinking, hey, maybe I got a chance to play professional golf. Give it a go.
And give it a go you did, Mark. A lot of golf fans will remember your attachment to Pebble Beach over the years, the 16 tour wins, particularly the 2 majors in 1998. How would you like Mark OMeara, the golfer, to be remembered by golf fans?
Well, I think I would hope that, you know, the respect that I've hopefully tried to put forward to my fellow competitors, to the fans, to the media, to the sponsors, you know, I think, Eamon, it's just important to realize that golf is about not just only this generation or the generation that came before me, but it's the generations that are coming into the future, that we got to make sure that we maintain this amazing game. And look, as a kid that started out playing golf at a late stage of my life at 12 and a half, 13, and now played professional golf around the world for 44 years, I just think that it's a responsibility that I had, and then hopefully for these young players, you know, if there's ever any kind of help or advice I can give them, I'd want them to feel free to reach out to me, because I just believe that we have the greatest game that you could possibly play in the world, and I just want to make sure that that continues going on to the future.
Mark, you're a mentor now, but for a long time you were a kid. 1990, before that year's AT&T, I believe you gifted your father with a spot next to you in the Pro-Am for 1990, which you won. What do you remember about that time and that relationship with your dad?
It was probably one of the highlights of my career. I know I've been blessed to have a few, but I would tell you, Damon, that year I played one other time with my father as my amateur partner in '86. And then after I won in '89, I invited my dad to come back in '90. We played all 4 rounds, as you can see, and I won the tournament playing right alongside my father. And I just don't know of any sporting event that you can do something like that. And on that 18th hole, you know, to stand there with my caddy and with my dad and give him a hug and a kiss, yeah, I mean, it brings tears to my eyes right now. My dad and mom are passed on, but I owe everything to my parents. I am who I am because of my father and my mother, and that was one of the highlights of my life and of my career.
So many great memories you've built over the years in this game. Mark, I reached out to your longtime friend and swing guru, Bruce Davidson, and asked him, what's a Mark OMeara story that people need to know? And he said, you got to ask Mark about the 1998 match play final with Tiger, when Tiger made you putt a little tiddler putt. What happened?
Yeah, Eamon, it was in '98. We went back across the pond to play in the Cisco World Match Play. And in the semifinals, I played 36-hole matches. I played Vijay Singh. I clipped him 11 and 10. And Tiger was playing Ian Woosnam, and it went extra holes, 37 holes, and Tiger won. And so the next day, of course, you know, these two guys, Tiger Woods, Mark OMeara, are going to play in the finals. That night before the finals, he came over to the house, we had dinner, and he's like, oh, Mark, isn't this great? You and I, 2 buds going at it head to head. And I was thinking to myself, God, I hope he doesn't beat me worse than I just beat VJ today. But we got out there, and, you know, of course, everybody wants to see Tiger Woods play golf. I get it. I'm a fan, too. And Tiger got out there, and next thing you know, he's like 5 under through 7 holes. He's got the fist pumping going. I'm like 5 down. Finally, I look over and I say, hey, I said, look, there's a lot of people out here. They're out here to see a show. You got to slow down. He goes, well, play better. And I'm like, I'm trying to. And I got around to the 11th hole. I hadn't won a hole yet, and I hit a good tee shot. I hit it about 2.5 feet. He hit it on the back edge. He putted it down to about 3 feet. And as you can see, he made me putt this putt. I mean, I looked over to him before I was going to putt it, and I said, Tiger, I said, he's on the back of the green, and there's, you know, 7,000 people around the green. And I said, you're not going to make me putt this, are you? And he looked over at me, he goes, well, you haven't won a hole yet, have you? And I was like, oh, my God. And I made it. And then as I was walking off the green, I went right to him with a mean look on my face. And I told him, I said, let me tell you something. I can't use the words right now on national TV, but I said, if you ever make me putt a putt like that again, our friendship is over. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I just blew right by him. And, you know, as the story goes, I ended up winning a few holes, and we ended up going to the very 36th hole, final hole. I was 1 up, and I made about a 14-footer for birdie because he was going to 2-putt, and I clipped Tiger Woods 1 up in the Cisco World Match Play in '98. So yeah, that's some of the great memories that I had playing alongside my dear friend Tiger Woods.
There you go, Tiger. If you're at home watching, recovering from back surgery, karma came and got you there. Now, Mark, you were seen very much as Tiger's mentor in the very earliest days of his career, even before you won those 2 majors in 1998. As Tiger kind of grew into his own man and you started taking major titles that he wanted, did that relationship change over the years?
No, Damon, I think I've said this many times. I mean, Eamon, I'm sorry, excuse me. I've said this many times that, look, I don't know if I would have won those 2 majors at 41 years of age if he hadn't come into my life. So I just think that when you play with greatness and you're around people like Tiger Woods, I may not be able to hit a ball like Tiger or play like Tiger Woods, but when you're around somebody like that, it helps elevate your ability to play this great game. And certainly he did that to me. And I've enjoyed, you know, watching the success that he's had and what he's done and the way he's maybe made this game so, I mean, accessible to so many people. And people watch our game now because of Tiger Woods and drawn way more viewership. So I just think that our relationship just came together at the perfect time in my life, in a career that I was having a decent career, but it helped kind of kept me going a little bit, I believe.
One thing you and Tiger both have in common, besides green jackets and claret jugs, is a mean club twirl. I thought you had one of the best in the business, Mark. When did you first start club twirling, especially with the irons and sometimes even with the woods? Because I always thought it was very pretty to watch.
Well, you're nice to say that, Damon. I would tell you that that all comes about because of Lanny Watkins. I mean, Lanny Watkins was probably the first ultimate club twirler that I ever played golf with. And I don't know, I just kind of developed it. And then, of course, we've watched Tiger do it, whatever he gets those different shots. He'll hold his finish and twirl that club. I think that's kind of a cool thing. I don't think I'm a very cool person, but that's kind of a cool thing.
Now, Mark, you mentioned earlier the idea of how you had sort of been mentored by previous generations. You're happy to mentor those coming after you, and this idea of leaving the game in better shape than you found it, that it's a trust passed from generation to generation. Do you feel as though that sentiment exists much in the game these days, or as much as it did in your era? Or are you happy with what you see in terms of the landscape of the PGA Tour now?
I would hope so, Eamon. I would say maybe not quite as much because of social media and the amount of money everybody's playing for and this and that. I understand that has an impact. But what I would say is that the players of today's generation and hopefully the future generations, they can't lose sight of the fact that if it's not for the fan and if it's not for the media and if it's not for the volunteers and everybody that it comes together in a pool to make our game what it is, I just don't think players should lose that. They have to maintain the focus that they have that responsibility to make sure that they keep this game at a high, elevated level.
Mark, you've been one of the great interviews in the game. I can't imagine what the emotion's going to be like at Pebble Beach for you as you say goodbye. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for all you've given to this great game.
Damon, Eamon, thank you for having me on, and yes, I really appreciate it. It'll be a great walk next week at Pebble.
There he is, World Golf Hall of Fame member Mark OMeara. As we go, I want to remind you folks, tune into PGA Tour Champions Learning Center featuring Mark OMeara tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Golf Channel. Maybe he'll teach you how to club twirl. Just saying. One thing he did do, won that U.S. Amateur back in 1979, beat his good buddy John Cook. Mark OMeara getting the job done.